Let me run
Mhm.
down this list I've got. So last year
Oh
alone, you
God.
were a cast member on Sisters Who Make Waves and Singing with Legends. You also popped on The Rap of China and The Next 2023. And going back a couple of years, you were a mentor on Chuang, which I feel like I have to mention because it was just a huge like show phenomenon.
Yeah.
I was wondering, out of all of these shows that you've been on recently, do any of them stand out, especially as being like super enjoyable, super fun to film?
I think going a little chronologically, Chuang was actually super like I think I came in with a little bit of insecurity of like, well, how would I mentor somebody? Because I was never really put into that position. It's usually like, I think the only way that closest thing to mentoring that I've ever done was just more like talking with my friends in the industry and just kind of giving advice to each other and getting perspective. But that was more of like a shared thing. But like a mentor is like, I'm mentoring you. Um, so I think being given that title was a little bit pressuring at first, but then as soon as I like got into it, number one for me, I told myself like I'm not somebody that knows everything. I can only share my perspective, and I was actually really, really like not I don't want to say relieved, but like I felt the reassurance because like when I did give like my advice or just give my comments to the contestants would come back, they're like, that helped me so much. And I was like, oh, so it really helped. And like also I like begged the producers, I was like, please like let me have some more time with them because I want to know what's going on in their like day-to-day thing. Because we're not with them. We only see them usually on their performances or on their rehearsals. We don't see them during the practice. But I begged the producers, I was like, please let me be in on their practices because
Mm.
that's where I think I'm the most beneficial as they're learning. I remember like one of the times I stopped in, like one of the trainees, Hiroto, like told me that like he was the most happy when I
Yeah.
was collabing with him and his team, and I was just like, as long as I could have given them some insight, some things to think about, and just like some time just to like feel comfortable making those mistakes in front of me. Because, like,
Mm.
again, messing up during practice and messing up on stage are two different things. I'll have two different
Yeah.
sets of expectations. Because for rehearsals, when you're trying to figure out how I can be 120%, but in practice, you can like experiment.
Yeah.
So I've always tried to. I'm hard on them, but I'm also at the same time I want to be loving to them as well because I know that during the time when I was a trainee, that's what I would have wanted was
Mm.
somebody to kind of really nurture me instead of just kind of being like, you did this wrong. Like, I don't see this. I always do set their expectations. Like, guys, when you're in practice, if you have questions, come up to me. I don't care what it is. No matter how stupid the question is that you think it is, there's no stupid questions when it comes to you trying to figure out your performance. But when it comes to you on stage, I'm on a different like mindset with you guys. And they're like, we get it. So I think having that relationship with the boys and just being really open with them, I think I felt like I had a great time with them. I hope that, and I
Yeah.
throughout my concert, like Ricky's come, Kaylin is opening for me at certain stop. I saw Xiao Yu a couple stops ago, so it's like
That's
I
so
really
nice.
like seeing them, and I'm also kind of nervous because now I'm performing for
How the turns have tabled.
them.
And Hiroto is debuting really soon as well under RBW.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, I will have
They
to
finally got around to debuting you.
finally. I love that boy. He's such a like pure spirited boy, and
He
I just know
is.
that he loves performing. So I'm always rooting them on.
No, that's so cool because I
Yeah.
think as a second gen idol, and especially one of the first foreign idols,
Mhm.
you had a hard time of it. Like, God, that must have been so hard. So it's really nice
Yeah.
to be able to make it easier for people who come after you.
Yeah, well, it's like, well, at Trong, like one thing that I really appreciated about the boys was that it's not just like, okay, like there's two languages that you have to juggle. There's like three to four.
Yeah,
You have
yeah.
like Japanese going on. There were kids that from Thailand. There's like multiple languages going on. So it's not just like switching between two, you have three
Hmm.
or more. And that was like the same thing that happened in FX is that we had Chinese, Korean, and English.
Right.
So that in itself, it's a very, very specific problem to have that I think a lot of people aren't really put in those positions. And at
Hmm.
the same time, you're running on a timeline. You kind of also don't know what's going on. And you're also learning things together. So it takes a lot of camaraderie to really navigate that. And I remember when I was doing the collab stages with the boys, it was I think we're called like Planet XL. Is that I think that was like when I was like performing with the boys, we would always take time to be all like converse in English, and then we would converse in Chinese, and then
Oh,
converse in
nice.
Japanese. And we would make sure that everybody was on the same page. And it takes a lot of patience and a
Yeah.
lot of like, because sometimes translators don't work. So it's like, how do you express not only in words what we're trying to do, but what's the feeling behind it? And I really give it up to those boys. Like they were so cute together. I was just like seeing them work together. It was very, very endearing. And I was like, man, for me to go through that back then, again, it is very specific, but I think the way that the industry works right now is actually so much more quicker.
Right.
So you're pushing out, like back then for me, I think it was we had our content and we would be pushing out that content, like the same content constantly with no sleep for 2 months. Now I think
Right.
it's a little, I might be wrong, but from what I hear from my friends is that it is a little bit more spread out. You're not going every single day for the same thing, but you're doing different
Mhm.
things. So I think
Right.
that's what I've been experiencing on all the shows that I've been going on, is that even though the quantity is technically less, the amount of content that you're doing has probably like doubled or tripled. So different problems, different generation, different times. So
Yeah, it's different. Like even like
yeah,
between Korea and China, it's like
yeah,
China's so much more like solo artist based. Korea much more group
yeah,
based. Korea has its music shows, which
yeah,
I assume you're talking about, like pushing out content every day, is waking up at
yeah.
5 a.m., going to the
Oh yeah,
music bank.
yeah. I think in Korea when I was promoting, we would just constantly be in cars. So our car became like we would deck out our cars and just have blankets and pillows everywhere. Here, I think the grind is that in China is that I'm on a flight every other day. So
Damn.
though I have an apartment in Beijing, I'm only there once every 2 months.
Jeez.
And and even to say for home in LA, I'm
Yeah.
there once every 6 months. If I'm so it's I'm very much on the road constantly, and I'm getting a little older now, so I think I might need some time to like chill out a little bit. I'm
Yeah,
still
yeah.
young. I'm still young,
You
but
are.
I
You
can
are.
feel
You can
my
feel
heart
the
is
time.
still 16. My
Yeah, yeah.
body is twice that. So I'm a little bit like I'm crack a lacking in a couple places, you know?
God,